I never imagined a simple text could shatter the life I thought I knew. My name's Daniel, I'm 36, and I always believed my marriage to Sophie was solid. 4 years of marriage, 8 years together overall, and I thought trust was unshakable between us. We'd had disagreements, sure, but nothing that couldn't be solved with a conversation. Or so I thought. It all started on a Tuesday evening. I was finishing up work, the kind of day where everything felt ordinary, and my phone buzzed with a notification from Sophie. The message that appeared on the screen made my heart stop before I even fully read it. I went on a trip with my ex. I couldn't say no. I'll miss you. At first I stared at it, thinking maybe it was some cruel joke, some strange mistake. But the words stared back at me, cold and deliberate. My mind raced. Sophie and I had been happy, or so I'd believed. She was the kind of woman who laughed easily, cared deeply, and loved fiercely. And yet, here was a message that made me question every single moment we'd shared. I tried to compose myself. I sent a quick reply, "What do you mean?" But she didn't respond immediately. That silence was worse than any explanation she could give. It felt like a punch in the gut, leaving me breathless and shaking. I replayed every memory, every conversation, every little joke that now seemed like a mask hiding something I'd never noticed. The trip wasn't even planned in secret, she explained later, but hearing it in her words made it worse. Apparently, her ex, David, had called her days before, insisting she come visit him in another city. At first she'd resisted, but then something changed. Something in the tone of his voice, something in the memories of the past. They had history, of course, and apparently she couldn't refuse. I remember sitting on the edge of our couch, phone in hand, staring at the screen as if it could magically rewrite itself. I couldn't speak, I couldn't breathe properly. It wasn't just that she was seeing someone else, though technically that's what it was. It was the betrayal, the casual way she admitted it, and the audacity to tell me she'd miss me. The next morning she walked in as if nothing had happened. She kissed me on the cheek, smiled, and asked how my day was. I couldn't even look at her. I just sat there, my stomach twisted, my mind spinning. How could someone act normally after shattering your trust? How could the person you trusted most treat you like this? I tried to speak. "Sophie, why?" My voice sounded foreign even to me, strained and weak. She sat down beside me, trying to explain herself, saying that it wasn't about me, that it was something she needed for closure, or maybe nostalgia, or maybe a test she didn't even realize she was taking. Every word she spoke, meant to soothe or justify, felt like salt poured on an open wound. I remember thinking for the first time in our marriage that I didn't even recognize her. The woman in front of me, who smiled and laughed like always, had made a choice that disregarded everything I had thought mattered. Our life, our love, our vows, they seemed meaningless in that moment, just a backdrop to a story where I didn't belong. And then came the nights of waiting. I stared at my phone, hoping for some sign that she would realize how wrong this was, that maybe she'd come to her senses. But every time her phone buzzed, it wasn't with apologies or concern. It was updates about her trip, photos of her and David laughing together, and little comments that tore me apart piece by piece. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. Everything around me reminded me of what we had, our apartment, the photos, the tiny quirks that once made me smile. It was like every corner of our life screamed at me, "This is gone." She chose someone else. Friends tried to reach out, offering advice, sympathy, and sometimes just silent understanding. Their words blurred together. None of it mattered. Only her actions mattered, only the reality I was forced to face. And the reality was this: the woman I loved had gone on a trip with someone else, and she couldn't even pretend it wasn't significant. By the third day I realized something terrifying. I couldn't control it. I couldn't force her to change her mind. I couldn't undo what she had done. All I could do was sit and watch, helpless, as she lived in a world where I was a secondary thought, an afterthought, a footnote in the story of her life she had rewritten without me. When she returned, I confronted her. Not yelling, not pleading, just cold, measured questions that cut through the air like knives. She tried to explain, to rationalize, to apologize. But apologies without remorse are meaningless. Rationalizations without understanding are hollow. And remorse without action is empty. I saw it all, the truth behind her words. She wasn't sorry. She was relieved, satisfied, maybe even proud of herself. And in that moment I felt something inside me snap. I stood there, looking at the woman I had married, the person I had trusted more than anyone, and I realized I didn't recognize her. I realized that trust, once broken, cannot simply be rebuilt with words. That love, no matter how strong, cannot survive actions that betray its core. I felt a clarity I hadn't known before, a cold, sharp understanding that this chapter of my life had ended, whether I wanted it to or not.